Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Electricity Association's Conversation Series webinars. I'm Dave McHenry. I'm a Senior Fellow here at the CEA, and I'm pleased to be your host for today's session. CEA has been working with our corporate partners to develop this conversation series, which focuses on solutions to current and future challenges faced by our industry. Today, Infosys will be presenting Accelerating Customer Engagement Through Digital Transformation. Have you been wondering how to structure a digital transformation platform to match your customer engagement strategy? Thinking how your utility should structure its enterprise digital architecture for omni-channel customer engagement? Instead of large multi-year projects and monolithic systems, utilities are looking to adapt architectures and platforms that allow for incremental change with less disruption. What technical and organizational readiness would you require to disseminate this change within your organization? This webinar on accelerating customer engagement through digital transformation elaborates. Our presenters today are Ravi Mandapaka and Manish Jain. Ravi is coming to us from Phoenix, and Manish is coming to us from Dallas, and I'm in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Ravi is a group project manager from Infosys Utilities Group. He has over 20 years of experience, including 17 years managing large utility programs in North America and Europe. He's been working in the utility customer experience space for over the past 10 years. And he's recently managed the digital experience transformation program at Arizona Public Service. Manish, on the other hand, heads the digital architecture practice in Infosys. He's been with the company for more than 22 years and specializes in designing large-scale enterprise systems. His areas of interest include mobility, cloud, social media, and e-commerce. He's worked with clients spread across various domains, including high-tech, retail, utilities, and banking. Some of his key utility engagements include helping clients like Southern California Edison and Arizona Public Service to achieve their digital objectives. Before we get started, please feel free to type any questions you may have into the question area on your webinar screen, and we'll ask those questions at the end of the webinar. We'll send out a copy of this presentation after the webinar, along with a post-webinar survey, and we would certainly appreciate your feedback. We're also interested in any topics you would like to see as part of this conversation series. With that, Manish, I'll now call you on screen, and we'll turn the webinar over to you.
Thanks a lot, David, and thanks everyone. And David, really appreciate you giving us this opportunity to speak about our experiences here. And can we quickly go over to our starting slide 6. So customer experience, as we talk about, Danny, the previous slide, please. Yeah. So customer experience has been the most sort of the thing for past multiple years, and each and every online organization or any enterprise which is having some IT or online presence is looking for it, right? And it's needless to say, it's on the top agenda for all the industries and their business leaders, their IT leaders and all, and because of multiple different factors. But if we take a step back, most of it is because of the technology evolution and things like your multi-channel solutions, omni-channel solutions, new devices, new capabilities coming in, supported by rich data solutions and cloud. So all these things are playing a key role. And good thing which has happened is all the digital leaders are embracing these technologies and coming up with niche solutions to address their immediate business agility needs and other needs. So if we see more than 64% of the industries, industry leaders feel that digital transformation or customer experience transformation is very, very critical. The other key factor which is driving it is the user behavior. More than 60% of the users are using mobile phones to do all the critical transactions, and this is only going to increase. The third thing which is driving it is the need of agility from business perspective, right? So the businesses, they need huge amount of agility. Just to look at the COVID impact, when the COVID scenario came out, the industries or the businesses which were on the verge of technology evolution, they were able to scale out and make sure that they are able to embrace new ways of engagement during the COVID era. In retail world, see like things like curbside picking and all. For banking, any transactions opening and all bank account openings if we can do remotely. So all these things started playing a big role. And in future, as in when the new technology advances coming, like things like 5G, things like niche data capabilities, niche analytics capabilities, new algorithms to manage data, to manage insights, there will be many more use cases and scenarios which will come in. So this presents a huge amount of opportunity. And by the way, all these things, all the aggregation of all this technology advancement is what we are seeing in the customer experience. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so from utility perspective, the key challenges which we see in this era are the following. It's pretty much how do I support new generation of customer interactions, right? So a couple of years back, Gartner predicted that by 2020, most of the customers will have their interaction for any key utility need mostly with machines, okay, without having to interact with humans. But still, the utility sector is not there. And if I look at some of the other sectors, they're pretty much there. The cost of operations are huge. With most of the utility customers with whom we interact, their technology landscape is anywhere between 2 decades to 3 decades old, in the sense that they have some legacy stack which is 2 decades or 3 decades old, and they have some new stack also, and all of them have to coexist, and their operational cost is pretty high because of that. And all of it relate back to their customer support cost. So if a call center has to wait, when a customer calls a call center, if the agent has to wait for multiple times, it leads to a call center cost increase. Then the main issue which comes in is lack of agility, especially if you have to implement some new solutions, niche solutions. Okay, you need to have the IT infrastructure there. You need to have which can give you the right set of agility. And all these provides us huge opportunities. In fact, each and every challenge exposes multiple different opportunities for us, and that's what we are going to cover in today's session. With that, I'll quickly hand it over to my colleague Ravi to take care of to go through the next couple of slides.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, David, for giving an opportunity. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining the session. For the next few slides, we want to really talk about how customer experience is playing a key role in utilities. And primarily, we see 3 fundamental areas where we want to really talk about today. The first one is the customer satisfaction, where we have seen, and as just Manish spoke, the customer expectations are growing day by day, right? So utilities are having not only to meet the customer expectation, but also to overcome that to get the improvement on the customer satisfaction index. The second area that which we will talk about is the emergency events, quality of service. Utilities are by and large having the vision and the goal to deliver safe and reliable power to their customers. And emergency events are happening all over the world, making it as a new norm for utilities to deal with. Even at the time of these emergency events, delivering the safe and reliable power to customers is also becoming a challenge there. So we will talk about how the customer experience is playing a role in every step of the emergency event. Before the emergency event, during the emergency event, and post that event in terms of the inspections and restorations. The third key area is the cost reduction, where each day there is a huge pressure that utilities are facing in revenue margins, and cost reduction is becoming very key area that they need to focus on in order to still continue to have the investments to meet the customer needs, but at the same time managing the cost as well. So next few slides, we are going to talk about all these 3 areas by taking a couple of case studies so that we will dig deep into these areas. If you can go to the next one. Thank you. So before I talk about customer satisfaction as the first area, we want to really give a brief overview about what this case study, what is this customer about. This customer is based out of the Arizona. It's the largest electric utility. It has a customer base of 1.2 million customers. The problem statement was the client wanted to modernize the existing customer portal and mobile app with a new unified framework that could enhance user experience. The Infosys solution, what we provided, we actually helped them to have an end-to-end digital transformation by positioning both Sitecore and React JS. And Sitecore especially as a platform we have used for the content creation, content publishing, and React JS is for our front-end UI framework. Along with that, we have also delivered APIs supported by Microsoft microservices framework, mainly to integrate with the backend systems like CIS, MDM, outage management system. We've also delivered the native mobile apps. The client had both iOS and Android, and we touched upon both of them and we revamped that. The Sitecore analytics, this is where all those analytics features were coming into picture, including but not limited to A/B testing, personalization, where the customer is dropping off, and so forth, and hosting this entire solution on the Azure cloud. So what kind of benefits we are seeing? It's been more than a year that we have implemented, and we have already started seeing reduction in the overall call center operation cost. There is an improvement in the brand value that is based out of our review of the customer analytics, as well as increase in customer loyalty, as well as the customer satisfaction. So we'll talk about the customer satisfaction in the next slide. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So what really and how really the customer experience driving the customer satisfaction improvement? We have broadly put down this into 5 categories. Customer interacts on the go. As we have seen in the earlier slide, customer expectations are a lot high, with the industry also moving towards less interaction to the call center agent. Utilities need to have a lot more capabilities exposed to the customer itself so that they themselves can really manage their transactions. And in this specific case as well, we have enabled a lot more features in account management, bill presentment, various payment methods, including even the credit card payment integration, usage management, as well as outage management capabilities, backed up by the digital capabilities that Sitecore platform provides, has given full capability for customers to perform their operations on the self-service channel. Also, we have used this to make customers understand and give an education more on the demand response programs, which is kind of a win-win situation for both utilities in terms of managing their generation capacity, as well as the customers in managing their bill amounts. Moving on to the second one, which is the Omnichannel. Customers are getting Omnichannel with this solution, where we have delivered both web and mobile, also like matched with the client's IVR and chatbot, so that the customers are getting consistent data and unified experience across all channels. Also having a similar service to Assist Bot to mainly provide customers the information that they're looking at, like how to make a switch from one rate to another rate, or how to do a payment arrangement transaction on the site, so on and so forth, as well as initiating a call to the call center through the chat session, as well as enabling a chat session with a live agent as well. All of this have provided customers to get the solution in a fastest possible way. Moving on to the third one, consumers turning prosumers. We have seen in the industry where most of the utilities are going through offerings like net metering, solar panels to the customers. And at this specific client as well, the client has offered its customers net metering and solar panel, where we understand the grid dependencies are continuing to decline. But with that, the customer's expectations in seeing lot more insights in terms of how much that they have made a saving, how much of an electricity that they have added back onto the grid, panel production, so on and so forth, in a real-time manner. So with this implementation and a bit of CIS as well to provide all of that the customers are looking at. The next one is the new products and services. With the analytics information that we have seen, utilities are also going into new lines of business, and in this place as well, we have seen the integration happening between the self-service channels with the customers digital the marketplace, so that we are kind of bringing both the customers as well as the vendors to come to talk directly. Thereby we are kind of seeing the products are getting sold, the maintenance of the products also taken care in the likes of like boiler, product specific to solar panel, EV specific, so on and so forth. And the last one is the achieve favorable regulatory outcomes. And we have seen that the regulatory approvals, especially in the rate case filings, is becoming much easier wherever the happiness index is growing. And that is where the customer satisfaction levels are also important there. With utilities having the latest digital customer experience, there is a way to collect that information and look at it and look the improvement areas wherever they are. And this is where this specific client has done enormously well. And that is what I'm going to focus on, along with other outcomes, what this utility has started to see as part of the benefits. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So what are the key outcomes that we have started to see at this specific client? We broadly again put down into three categories. The user experience is the first one, where we have started seeing reduction in the call center volumes by as high as like 30%. And it's a journey that we are looking at further optimizations and to see improvements even in the space. There is an enormous increase in the self-service transactions with respect to the backend integration calls that customers are making, and that has gone by several notches to 2 million transactions per year. The customer satisfaction with the legacy side was about high 40s to low 50s, where we have helped customer reach up to like 60% of the customer satisfaction there. Overall, we worked with marketing team to conduct a lot of road shows in terms of what changes that we have made in the customer experience, and that really helped in increasing the online adoption by 12%. And the final one in this category is 20% of the increase in the user registration, where it goes long way for utilities to manage. Customers are actually visiting them through the registered users, thereby other digital based communication, so on and so forth. The next one is the cloud transformation, where we have seen an improvement in the performance as high as like 20% of the reduction in the response time in loading the pages average across the site. The second one is 50% of the decrease in disaster recovery is a big win for the customers over here. Third one is the DevOps, zero downtime outage time. So in the past, in the legacy side, there used to be a downtime up to like 2 hours with each production release that was planned. And with client going in more agile basis, they are looking at 2 releases per each month, and that's where the zero downtime has really helped them, because these self-service channels are mainly the revenue recovery channels where a lot of customers come and make payments, and any downtime is going to hurt them. Hence, we have really come up with zero downtime. It's a high availability site with like around 99%. It's a very stable site. Also, secure transactions have been met with 100%, leveraging key vault that actually gets a lot of secrets and keys stored in that in a much more secure way. The final segment is the analytics, which is really helping the business and the marketing team in reducing 90% of the time to get different reports on the analytics, whether it is to do with the page level analytics or overall pages at a specific user level or overall user level. So that kind of slicing and dicing really helping them. And they can even look at a specific user and have a 360-degree view to understand how customers have interacted with the digital channel there. With the campaigns, 100% analytics data is available right from initiating the campaign to delivering it, customers opening as well as clicking on it, and all the way coming back to the channel. Everything is kind of fully automated and is visible for the marketing team. And the business team is also kind of targeting the target-based communication and content. They started with that and they've gone up to like 15%, and they're going even a lot more in this space. And the last one is the call center has got 90% of the improvement in the data before they get a call from the same customer who had interacted with the self-service channels in the past. And that really helped them solve the customer's questions in a much more easier manner. So the next one, next slide, which we will talk about, if you can go to the next slide, please, is how did we really achieve this? What are the building blocks that we have gone through to achieve this one? What we have done is we have started off with the user experience business workshops as to collect all the inputs, like the legacy website, web analytics, the customer feedback, customer complaints, the call center data, the agency's data, business input, as well as the regulatory inputs. Once we gathered all of that, we have gone into like a 5-step mode, as we can see at the top. The requirements in customer journey. This is where we have understood the strategies and the digital KPIs the customer have got, and wherever there was lacking, we kind of helped them to derive one. The requirement analysis were also taken place, and based on the requirement analysis, we've started putting together the process maps. How should a payment arrangement flow be? How should a start service transaction end-to-end flow should be? So on and so forth. Then we looked at the competition analysis, where in the specific region and across other utilities, how are they doing? What kind of best practices we can take up? What are the learnings that we need to really keep in mind? Then the next one is we looked at the existing legacy site and also consider the information to put together information architecture. And finally, the persona definition. How should it look like for the residential customer, business customer, agency, so on and so forth. Then the next one is the design thinking. This is where the framework and the user experience design was coming into picture. The market, UX trends we have gone through. We have come up with the digital visual studio, and based on that, we have started to deliver the HTML prototyping. And based on the entire process flows, we have sort of come up with a sitemap and site structure. And we looked at, for each of the flow, the wireframes and the visual designs. And we've also provided that for the testing for the business team, so that they can really provide early feedback to us, as well as they can also see what is it is coming in the coming days. Once we have all of that, we have gone into the agile mode, to complete any backend changes that are needed with the design and development. APIs getting designed and developed to integrate with the backend systems, configure all the digital features like analytics, personalization, so on and so forth. And we moved into migration and validation, where they've taken their digital assets like various PDFs in talking about the rate structures and all that. And the customers also created, the client also created the translations as well as the creation of the new content. Then we validated the UI based on the pixel-based, device-based accessibility, which is meeting the compliance of like WCAG 2.0 as well as the ADI compliance. We've integrated with the backend system, validated the functional and non-functional, and we've performed the technical validations as well in the form of performance testing and security testing. And then we've kind of gone into a continuous deployment mode, building, automating all of the the processes that are to be developed with automated testing and also delivering that is ready for release in an agile mode. And that's where we have seen at the if you can see on the right hand side, we have delivered the responsive web design meeting web, tablet, mobile devices, integration with the backend systems, integration with the external like B2B mode, payment through the payment gateways for various payment methods, omni-channel experience, as well as analytics and marketing automation. With that, the other two core areas, which are emergency events and cost optimization, cost reduction, something that we would cover with the next case study. And that is where I would request Manish to talk about the second case study, what we have recently done.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks a lot, Ravi. So just to give you a background of this client is one of the largest utility provider in North America, based out of California, and it has got millions of customer base. And they were having a stack which is quite old. Their core legacy platform is 20 or 30 years old. They recently, maybe last decade, they migrated to SPA portal, the latest last time. Okay, and they have been facing a lot of challenges, especially related to business agility, how fast we can roll out new features, new content on the site, launch a new campaign. So they were facing a lot of issues with that. The second set of issues that they were facing were with respect to the stability of the site. Recently, because of all the bad weather and all these things, the load on the site increased many folds, and for past couple of years we are facing huge amount of challenges, especially when it comes to site reliability and availability. The third thing which was happening was the cost of site maintenance and operation was skyrocketing. So these were the three main challenges which they were facing. And the whole transformation part was very, very complicated here, because their core, right from their core platforms to the UX layer, each and every technology stack was slightly different. It was not homogeneous. At the same time, their business people wanted to make sure that they get some quick wins. Okay, and we understood this whole transformation will be a journey. So and each and every layer within this thing, you will have to follow a different approach. So that's the thing which we took into mind, and what we said is, guys, let's do a full CX transformation first. Let's make sure that we are ready to meet all your business needs from customer engagement perspective, right? And then we'll go into the core migration. That's the approach which we followed with this client. And the thumb rule which we use is, guys, let's go full cloud native. Whole of our experience solution is running on Azure cloud. It's totally using cloud native features, microservice based, and so each and every experience capabilities we have exposed it as an API, and that's something which is being consumed by all the different channels. By channel, what I mean by channel is mobile, web, and in future chatbots and other channels. At the same time, to achieve this kind of transformation, you have to make sure that your organization is opened up. When we say opened up, that means each and every piece of business capability should be exposed as an API. And that's the second thing which we had to do. All the core systems at the back end, we had to make sure that they are enabled through APIs. The third thing which we had to do was make sure that our solution, whatever we were designing, is something which is future-proof, in the sense that if the code is transforming, the experience layer should have a minimal impact, and that was a big challenge. We obviously leveraged full DevOps process. Our whole implementation cycle was agile-led. At the same time, to make sure that we are as close as possible to what the business needs, we had followed a pretty much very thorough design thinking approach. Okay, and one of the good things which we had here is business users were working very closely with us right throughout the implementation part. We had multiple releases. Initially the release was slightly longer because we are bringing up our core platform, but once our core platform was up, our release cycles were very fast, within 6 weeks to 2 months max. The other thing which we did was we baked in instrumentation and analytics into each and every layer of our solution, so that we should be able to measure different APIs and different KPIs which we are having, which we have defined, whether it's user specific, whether it's application or system specific, or whether it's process specific. All of them we are monitoring it very closely. So shall we go over to next slide? Now, apart from the customer satisfaction, obviously customer satisfaction is something which everyone wants to achieve, and we definitely achieved that. But the other two main thing which we achieved was the role which this platform was playing, especially during emergency events. And in past couple of years, we know these emergency events have played a very vital role. The unique thing which I've seen with utility industry is during any emergency, the load on the site increases many fold. And I've worked with other verticals like retail and all. There, the Thanksgiving time during holiday season, you do see a burst maybe of 10x, maximum 15-20x. But here, when I saw the load was increasing 100x also sometimes, and you had to design a software or a system which is capable of managing that kind of thing. Second thing is, during an emergency event, you want to make sure that you are able to communicate or converse with your customer in real time, right? So that was the one more challenge which was happening. And you want to make sure that you provide the data to the customer, which is very much relevant to him during that time, right? Because otherwise, if he'll have to look for information, he will have to navigate to, maybe if there is a power outage and he's accessing through a low bandwidth phone, you don't want him to waste his time with multiple clicks, and sometimes it can become a life-defining moment also. So how do you manage your systems during emergency event? How do you prepare for the emergency event? Okay, so both of them are extremely critical. Third thing which happens is after your testing is gone, your event is gone, there is some time which it comes between your normalization window, right? So during that window, what role does your platform play? Okay, that's also extremely critical. Now, the couple of things which comes here is, guys, how do I make sure that my application and platform can scale up from capacity perspective? Second thing which comes in is, guys, do I have the relevant tools and technology available to support real-time communication? So these things we have baked it in the platform and made sure that we give real-time information based on the user's context, which location, which region is he in, okay, and based on that, we provide them the required information. At the same time, the other thing which we are trying to staff for is low bandwidth, making sure that we address the low bandwidth users' need. So most of our site, we are optimizing it for low bandwidth needs also. And keeping this in mind, what has happened is during the emergency events, after we took all these initiatives, our site was pretty much up throughout all these challenges. Earlier, before this transformation, our site was not that stable. It used to go down, but now it is extremely robust and we have not faced any outages. One of the other things which we have to watch out is things like events like COVID-19, which is not as such a emergency event from weather perspective, but still it requires you to transform a couple of your business processes. And with our microservice-based architecture, we have been able to achieve that. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now, the cost reduction is on top of agenda of any particular CIO and CTO, right? And with the new age technology coming in, if we use the tools rightly, and in a proper manner. In fact, it'll definitely give us a lot of cost reduction. But experience also has got a critical role to play. With proper experience, what we have seen is there is huge amount of reduction in call volumes, because you can promote the self-service usage, right? If you simplify the whole account management process, how you present your bill, how you present your information, in case the user wants to understand his bill properly, you make sure that you provide in the right tools, right information, okay? And maybe if possible, depending on the user persona, see if you can present the bill differently. Then provide tools like usage management, multiple payments method, so that users can directly leverage all these tools online. Now, the other thing which we are exploring with other verticals and other clients is how do we make sure that we provide personalized messages, and including video messages. Can you have a video bill? So these are some of the things which we are planning with our utility customers. The second thing which helps us in cost reduction is whenever we launch a new, say, price scheme or new campaign, or we want to communicate a new scheme to the users, how do I do it effectively so that my customers don't have to call up call center, right? So that is where your marketing automation and proper targeting comes in. We want to make sure that we provide the relevant content to the right set of users. And in utility world, it's much more applicable because we know our users very well. We know their power usage pattern. We know what kind of things they are looking at, what kind of house they stay in, which location they stay in, right? And with that, we can make them much more recommended or targeted offers. And that's something which requires us to bring in all the sets of technology together, right? From data, understanding customers, transactions, and plus making sure that you personalize your campaigns accordingly. The third thing which we are pretty much focusing on is making sure that you help with your focus on upstream processes like auto payment, supporting direct debit, so that your customers don't have to worry about coming into your website each and every month and pay. Okay. At the same time, include features like budget billing, so that now with the data technology which we have, we can easily predict what your power usage and bill this thing will be next month. So rather than having a spike in the bills throughout the year, can you make sure that you give them a consistent budget-based bill, right? So in some months they can pay more, in some months they can pay more than what they're consuming, in other months. Obviously, you'll have to make sure that you're compliant with the regulatory needs. But this is some concept which is coming up called budget billing. And with next generation of data technology available, this is something which we can easily achieve. At the same time, this helps us in making sure that your downstream processes like collections and all are optimized, right? Because if you're supporting concepts like budget billing and auto payment, your collections and all goes down. Obviously, there is a reduction in operations, because what you can do is with support for digital billing and all, your carbon footprint reduces, so you don't have to mail much more paperwork and all this stuff. So this definitely helps. The last advantage, and this is not to ignore the saying, the digital technology stack, especially the cloud-based, open source-based stack, is something which will help us save a lot of money. And the reason why it saves money is not only because your cloud has multiple options. Okay, the main thing which happens is cloud provides you pay-as-you-go model. So during the lean window, you don't have to pay. You can make sure that your infrastructure auto scales. So during the nights, your infrastructure will be pretty much bare minimum, and during the daytime or peak time, you can consume a lot. So with that, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so as I mentioned, we were measuring each and every different outcomes and capabilities, and this is something which we have baked into our platform. And what we saw was more than 68% of our users were using digital payment now. So, and this is after conversion. So basically, people who are making physical payments, 68% of them converted to digital payments, and this is huge. The site performance, we are measuring it, and it improved by more than 50%. So basically, site performance is a measure of all the different perspectives, load times, your usability of the site, and other things. The third benefit which we are planning to measure is how fast can we roll out incremental features and new features. And based on our siloed approach and microservice-based approach and very, very modular application, plus at the same time, we introduce a content management platform here, Drupal-based. So our time to market was very, very fast. Within a couple of weeks, we were able to roll out new features and new releases. As I mentioned in the last slide, 43% of billing is digitized now, which is big win, both from cost perspective plus reducing carbon footprint. Then the other thing which we saw is close to 25% of users have moved to online self-help kind of usage. So this is huge. You are straight away saving 25% of your cost. The last thing which was is more than 15% of online outages were reported using the website. And the reason why it is the conversion here is not high is because many a times what happens is when you are having a power outage, a lot of your electronic devices also are out of power. At the same time, you might be facing some internet hiccups also. So this is not that high, but still it's a very positive move. A couple of intangibles which we see here or indirect benefits is we see huge amount of reduction in IT cost, close to 40%. The user base has grown up to 5.4 million. Site availability has increased big time, and this is site availability is still low compared to what we want to achieve. Most of the reason, the primary reason for this is still our core systems are running on the legacy platform, which we are planning to migrate to new platform. Your page views has peaked up to 46 million per day, which is huge. And on an average, we record close to 130 to 200K logins every day. And believe me, this is something which you're monitoring it very closely. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, see, these kind of transformations, the CX transformation sits on top of your whole iceberg. If I have to use this iceberg analogy, see, to achieve a proper CX transformation, you have to make sure that your whole enterprise is modernized, right? You have to open up your whole legacy platform or your core systems in a microservice manner in Agile so that it can be consumed by different channels. You have to make sure that you use the right cloud stack so that you get the right amount of scalability. And if you don't leverage the cloud, your on-prem cost might go up big time. You have to make sure that whatever you're doing is very secure and compliance has to be kept in mind. Obviously, the next generation technology which is coming in, a lot more cognitive services and other things are coming in, and utilities have started adopting it, but we still see there is huge scope of improvement there. Then on top of it, what we show to the end user is your whole of your digital engagement platform is something which is transforming. There are so many options available now. Platforms like Drupal, Sitecore, Adobe are the top contenders. You have multiple digital channels which you'll have to support. And there is huge amount of ES technologies which comes in, right from your responsive app, responsive web design to micro front ends, and also there is huge amount of technology play which comes in, and it's not easy. And believe me, from the target state, from the current state to target state, there is one target state solution implementation which is there, but the more complicated part is a journey. How do you make sure that all of it seamlessly from your current state to the target state? With that, can we move to the next slide? Yeah, and here are a couple of trends which we see. I'm pretty sure you must also be seeing a lot of these trends. But over the next few years, what we see is some of these trends are going to catch a lot of traction. Prosumers, a lot of the consumers here are turning producers now with solar power, wind power, and all these things coming in, and alternate forms of energy. This is huge. And suddenly, if you see your consumers turning producers, this will mean you'll have to revamp your core IT systems, and not only IT systems, even the consumer engagement systems. Second thing which we are seeing is there is a whole revolution of smart home which is coming out, right? Now, this is where we can start engaging with the customer in 360-degree way. You can start making smarter recommendations, right, from device recommendations to appliance recommendations to when to use the appliance, when to turn on and turn off your services at home. A lot of these things you can enable. At the same time, based on the usage pattern, you will have enough information available if you have a right set of tools to recommend the right plan selection for your customer and make eco advisory and other advisory also. The third trend which we are seeing is new services, and EV is just one of it. There will be many new services which are coming up and which will give you a good opportunity to partner with your key partners like appliances partners or some other partners, right? And create your niche marketplace or maybe participate with them in their marketplace. All this requires you to open up your business model. And this is extremely critical because if you don't open up your key business processes and key this thing in a secured manner, you won't be able to support a lot of niche B2B solutions. And that's what I had to cover. Maybe we'll go over to the next slide. Yeah, thanks everyone. This is what I had to cover.
Well, wonderful, Manish. Thank you so much. And Ravi, if you'd like to join us back on camera, I'll thank you as well for your expertise that you've shared. We've covered just a heck of a lot of detail. It's quite amazing when you consider the whole electricity sector and grid. There's a lot of complexity, a lot of technology, and we just focused in on that tiny little slice of the customer experience side. In itself,
right.
A lot of change there. For our viewers, if you've got a question that you'd like to have addressed by our experts, please just tap them into the screen. We've said we've got some already, so please feel free to do so. And time permitting, we'll get to our questions. And Manish and Ravi, a couple of the questions. Ravi, this may be for you. I think it's when you were speaking about Arizona. Is the solution a totally cloud solution? And if so, were there any issues to fund given the fact that it's OpEx versus a CapEx solution? Just wonder if you could comment on that.
Yeah, this one, the Arizona case study is completely cloud-based. We understand there was a little pressure in terms of the cost aspects to it, but the client also wanted to start the journey more and more into the cloud. And this is the major engagement that they started off with the cloud. And after seeing how the cloud is giving the benefits to them with the zero downtime and as well as the cost savings aspect, now they have actually kind of made a decision to go more and more into the cloud. And that's where we have kind of seen this as a case study, which even not only for Infosys but also for the utility itself to build upon even other applications as well in cloud.
Right. I guess are you seeing more and more focus on the cloud, just in generally, aside from the business cases you've talked? Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is in the last, especially last 3-4 years, it's now picking up, with a lot of pace where the cloud thing is sort of coming in first thing whenever customers and utility clients are actually talking about any new application. So it is most happening place when it comes to the utilities these days. Yes.
Great, thank you. Next question is, where are you seeing bots being deployed? What applications are first in queue to go with a bot?
Yeah, so the bots and all that, we have seen integration with a lot of the backend systems as well to have a smart way of pulling the data, providing the information, as well as the education thing. Here in this context, mainly the CIS application is where we have kind of used, which is getting exposed more on the self-service channel. So customers are kind of interacting, trying to get the information, which is directly getting it from the backend systems there. Did I answer your question? Or?
Well, I guess I'm just curious in terms of those bots. Is it more to assist the call center agent to automate certain processes they would need to go through manually, or is it from the end customer self-serve application?
It's a bit of both actually. For end customers, they're trying to get to the information, and by typing in based on the keywords and various things, the information was kind of provided upfront, and also providing the help in terms of how to go through, as well as the call center agents too, kind of do away their manual steps and more in automated fashion. So it is a bit of both in this context.
Great, thank you. Manish, I think the next question will probably be over to you. How does Infosys go about planning a transformational roadmap? How do you get started in that?
Yeah, actually, it totally depends on client actually. So basically, you have to understand the key objectives. What are their business objectives? What are the challenges that they're facing? What is the current IT landscape? And based on that, we come up with an approach. Now, in some client cases, they might have already started their journey of migrating their core, or their core might not be that old. right? And it might be able to support us with our digital initiatives. So what we do is we simply start transforming their experience layer, right? And we start with all the critical journeys which they have to prioritize. So whatever will give them maximum buck from customer engagement perspective, like things like bill payments, things like bill presentation, things like emergency communication, that's what we focus. But for many of our clients, what happens in the core systems is very, very rigid, right? It's a monolith and it's not helping them scale up. It's not helping them launch new initiatives. At the same time, it's not reliable. So that's when we start taking an approach of, guys, let's make sure that we first transform the core. Okay. At the same time, the functional building blocks also, you'll have to make sure that you break them into silos and each and every block can morph on their own. So these are a couple of key things that we take. And typically, this is a journey, as I said, right? And each and every customer typically takes a different journey. So there is not one single recommended journey which will apply to all the customers. But what we have seen is your end state, everyone is totally aligned. Okay. So it depends on your current state and your business objective, what journey do we have to take?
Okay, and what would you say are the biggest challenges and solutions or mitigations to those challenges that you've come across?
Right. And see, a couple of challenges if you have seen is with this digital transformation thing, there are many first-time implementations for clients, like first time going to cloud, first time taking up a model which can scale out, like your infrastructure can scale out. So there is sudden burst in price and usage, and then it scales down, right? So they are worried whether they'll be paying more or paying less. Then suddenly, if you start opening up your enterprise, you have to make sure that you take care of security, right? So each and every system is not designed to expose itself in a secured manner, right? So there are IT challenges. Then there are business challenges also, because many a times what happens is your business has to align with your technology strategy. Okay, and what we see is any digital transformation, the business users have got a key role to play. In fact, the successful engagement which we have seen, the business people were pretty much a part of our implementation team.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. The third challenge that we see right now is because there are so many in-flight projects which happen. So most of the all these enterprises are large enterprises, and the iceberg picture which I showed, each and every block of that is managed by a different stakeholder. And they follow a different path, different release cycles, different roadmaps. How do you marry all of them together? So that's one of the biggest challenges we see.
A lot of change management requirements wrapping around it all.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing is, see, these kind of things keep on changing very fast, and change management is extremely critical. And just to give you an extension from chatbot, one of the things which we saw, guys, if you introduce a bot, and if you want a seamless experience, when does the bot shift to a chatbot with a live agent? That transition has to be seamless, and you have to train the user properly. So there are niche things like this which comes into play. And you are right, the change management, the enterprise change management, business change management is extremely critical.
Right, thank you. And next one, Ravi, I think it's over to you. How do you leverage data and analytics to improve that customer service level?
Okay, that's a I'll take one example and I'll sort of walk through. The same client, Arizona client, we have kind of implemented this. Normally, the start service is a transaction or a turn on. Utilities actually take some of the calls in this area where they experience a high AHT, average handling time, because of the number of steps that are involved. Because it's always a complex process for any utility to make a new customer coming in, right? Collecting all the information and doing all the processes. So with the number of steps that are involved, this utility also wanted to maximize the automation through the self-service channel rather than diverting those customer requests to the call center. So in this aspect, we've implemented this. We have enabled all the analytics, and then we started monitoring how the customers are going through the journey, where are the resistance points that the customers are experiencing in multiple steps, and identified 2 steps where we have worked with the customer service business team and marketing team to talk about and find out like what are the business rules that may be hampering them in dropping off after reaching to that step or those 2 steps. And that is where with the new implementation, we had the agility also to take up any of the changes that the business team was requesting. So business team identified the changes. They have provided those set of changes to the business rules, and we implemented quickly. After that, we've started seeing a significant growth in conversions of those start service. So like that, there are multiple other examples also where multi-step process, especially the payment thing, is also another prime example where I can even talk about ours to explain how this data and analytics, where it really helped us, the resistance points, why the customers are kind of dropping off, whatever clicks that the customers are doing. Maybe they're getting into a specific field and sort of getting stuck in trying to understand or not able to align this on the specific browser level, so on and so forth. So a lot more details that we can get into, but that data and analytics part of the Sitecore CMS has really helped the business and the marketing team to put together the steps that will take place, so that the improvements and the customer conversions are also taking place on the transaction side.
Okay, great, thank you. Seeing we're getting close to the top of the hour, just before you gentlemen leave. So we've covered off obviously the importance of customer experience improvements. Some of the objectives: customer satisfaction improvements, emergency response, event response, and quality. There, we've talked about the drivers of cost reduction. We talked about addressing customers on the go, omni-channel, consumers versus prosumers, onboarding new products and services, and hoping for favorable regulatory outcomes. Thank you for stepping through the process with a couple of the business applications of some sizable organizations in the United States, and the very strong results that both your customers and you at Infosys have been able to drive. With that, as we're approaching the top of the hour, I'd like to thank you both again for being with us, Manish and Ravi. We'll invite you to go off camera, and then I'll just close up here.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
So you're welcome. You're welcome. So to our viewers, our next Corporate Partner Conversation series webinars will be held on October the 28th. That'll be tomorrow. Stephanie Axman will be presenting Indigenous Rights in Canada, a review of significant legal and constitutional milestones. And then the day following, on October 29th, Contact Point 360 will be presenting using artificial intelligence and speech analytics to monitor, track, and improve customer experience and ensure 100% compliance. That will be a very interesting presentation. And also just a reminder, all of CEA's future events and webinars can be found in our monthly newsletter, Current Affairs, or you can go to our website, electricity.ca, and under news and events, you'll see upcoming and past webinars there. So thank you again for joining us today, and until next time, bye for now.